So now let's take a look at Hurricane Erin. We actually got the 11 a.m. advisory a little bit earlier. So the latest update has seen a downtick in the winds from 105 down to 100 miles per hour. Pressure up to 952 millibars. But the biggest change that we have seen as of this morning is this direction change. Now moving to the north-northeast at 18 miles per hour. So number one, it's definitely moving faster than what we were seeing at this time yesterday, maybe only moving at about 13 miles per hour. But it was moving up to the northwest, and we were saying, okay, it's going to begin that northward turn. Well, now it's beginning the northeastern turn as it is going to go back out to sea. Right now it's just off the Atlantic coast of Carolina and Virginia, but it's not going to get any closer to those areas. It's going to continue to get farther and farther away. And it looks like Erin could be a Category 1 by the time we even wake up tomorrow morning, or maybe even sometime later on this evening. So seeing a steady weakening trend, still going to maintain Category 1 status for quite some time until we get to Saturday morning. That's when it's expected to drop back down into tropical storm status, or maybe just a remnant low pressure system right here. We're gonna have to do some updating with these icons because this is a little bit misleading. You see this low pressure center and you kind of think, oh, okay, it's extra tropical, it doesn't have much organization, but it's still maintaining 80 mile per hour winds. And that is going to be, yes, that is still going to be low end Category 1 status right there. But as it continues to move up into the northern Atlantic and not impact anyone but the fish, you can see that it will continue to weaken. 70 mile per hour winds, 65, and then Tuesday by right there around noon, 50 mile per hour winds. And the good news is we were thinking that, okay, this might take a turn and impact areas of the United Kingdom sometime early next week, but it does look like it's going to kind of take another northerly direction up there, and it's really not going to have a lot to work with. It is pretty cold up here in the northern Atlantic, even though it is the summertime season. However, areas like Iceland and then maybe somewhere in the United Kingdom could get some bands of tropical rain, maybe some gusty winds. Still a little bit too far out to tell that, but it's getting farther away from us in the U.S., and that's the main point that I want to hammer in with that. But let's go ahead and check in on all of the tropics. We have an entire bowl of fruit out there. We have apples, we have lemons, and we have oranges. Taking a look at your apple right here, which is going to be this red shaded area. So that's when you start to get high chances of development. You need someday or one of the windows, either the next 2 days or the next 7 days, to have at least a 70% chance of development. And that's exactly what this area right here, that's really following in the footsteps of Hurricane Erin, does have. So it's this cluster of showers and storms right now. It's east of the Caribbean. It is expected to kind of take a northerly turn just like Erin did. So we'll have a series of frontal boundaries coming through, and that's going to help steer anything in the tropics coming in our direction, back out to sea, up to the north, and then eventually curve up to the northeast like Erin did. But you can see that this is a pretty big area, and the reason that we do have it highlighted in red now is because over the next 7 days, so not really necessarily over the next week, it's just past the 2-day window, there is a 70% chance of development, but we have seen the next 2-day window increase to about a 40% chance of development, mainly because it is finally out of this dust plume that you can get faint images of right here around the Atlantic Ocean headline and then back over here towards the east of it. So it's running into a more conducive environment. Those chances of development are very likely to go up, and it's now matching the best chances of development with the tropical wave behind it. But before we talk about that wave behind it, we got a new area of development as of 8 a.m. this morning, and take a look at this itsy bitsy spider. It is just smack dab in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's moving to the east. That's the main interpretation I'm getting from this. They gave it 30% chance of developing over the next 2 days and over the next 7 days. We've just really seen it kind of pulse up out of nowhere, but it's moving away from us. That's the main takeaway that I want you to take with this, and not really understanding why you're giving such a small area a good chance of development. We could see it intensify very rapidly, but it's also moving into the dust plume. That is directly over here to the east, so we'd have to see that dust plume sag a little bit farther to the south so it could just run over that warm ocean water. But this is kind of where you're getting into the deeper portions of the Atlantic Ocean, so your water isn't going to be as warm per se as maybe shallower areas that are closer to the coast. But we still are kind of in that peak season where the sea surface temperatures are rather warm. We'll continue to keep a close eye on it, but I don't think this is anything that we need to worry about. Just thought I would mention it to you because we now have 3 areas of potential development down in the tropics. But let's go to this tropical wave that we've been talking about that's been moving off the coast of Africa recently. You see how much dust is directly over to the west of Africa, so that's really going to inhibit development on those latitudes of the Atlantic Ocean and in the tropics. Back over here, kind of towards the southwest portion of the Saharan Desert, that's where we're going to start to see these waves try to move off of, because they're not going to develop a little higher up where plenty of the dust does sit. But a 40% chance of development, these are about the same chances that it did have this time yesterday. So now it matches the same percent chance of developing as the wave ahead of it over the next 2 days. It's kind of a toss-up, 50-50 chance, flip a coin, whichever one of these is actually going to get its act together first and claim that F name on the hurricane season list. But overall, it does look like this is going to continue to move over to the west. Past that, anyone's best guess about what's going to happen. It's nothing that we need to be immediately concerned about until we start to get better chances of development, maybe get a named storm, and maybe get a cone forecast that gives us a better interpretation about where this is going to go in the near future.